Have you ever found yourself hesitating before stepping onto a bus? Or maybe you've started to notice that tasks that used to feel simple, like reaching a high shelf or reading fine print, are starting to feel just a little more difficult. If so, you're not alone. And more importantly, it doesn't mean you're giving up your independence. It just means it's time to pause, pay attention, and take action before those little moments become bigger obstacles. Let's face it, getting older comes with its challenges. But here's the truth, they don't always tell you. Losing your independence isn't something that happens overnight. It's subtle. It sneaks in through habits we ignore, signs we shrug off, and routines we don't question. But here's the good news. These signs are not permanent. You can do something about them, and you can start today. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 subtle but serious signs that your independence might be slipping, and, more importantly, how to turn things around before they take hold. This is not about fear. It's about freedom. It's about keeping control over your day, your choices, and your future. Because you deserve to wake up each morning with confidence, knowing that you can still live life on your terms. So let's start with one of the most common and often overlooked signs. You begin to avoid going out alone. Maybe it starts with something small. You stop driving at night. You cancel a lunch with friends because it's raining and you're not sure about the parking situation. You wait for someone to come with you to the store, even though you used to run errands solo all the time. At first, these choices seem harmless, smart even. After all, it's good to be cautious. But when you start saying no to life simply because you're afraid of what might go wrong, you're actually giving away little pieces of your independence. Confidence begins to shrink. The world starts to feel a little less open. And eventually, what used to be a simple outing starts to feel like a challenge you're not ready to face. But here's the thing. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So instead of pulling back, start small and work your way forward. Choose a place you know well, go at a quiet time, and give yourself permission to leave early if you're not feeling it. The goal isn't perfection. It's motion. It's showing yourself that you can still do it. On your own, on your terms. Another sign to pay attention to is when your home starts to feel overwhelming. This doesn't mean your house is messy or that you're suddenly a hoarder. It's more subtle. Maybe the mail starts piling up and you tell yourself you'll get to it tomorrow. The laundry sits longer than usual. You stop using certain rooms because they feel too far to walk or too cold or just not worth the effort. Your home should feel like your haven, not a burden. When it starts to feel otherwise, that's a red flag. Not for laziness, not for decline, but for overwhelm. And overwhelm is often the result of mental fatigue. It's when small tasks start to feel like mountains. It's easy to ignore, but dangerous to let grow. One way to fight this is by reclaiming control in small, manageable ways. You don't have to deep clean the whole house in a day. Start with just one surface. Maybe the kitchen counter or your bedside table. Make it shine. Make it feel like yours again. And then, do it again tomorrow. Routine brings rhythm. Rhythm brings energy. And energy brings that spark of independence back into your space. You'd be surprised how much power you can take back just by making your environment work for you again. Sometimes, It even helps to rearrange things a little. Move a favorite chair closer to a window. Bring fresh flowers into the room. Add brighter light where it's dim. These small touches send a big message to your brain. This space is alive, and so am I. And that brings us to another sign that often goes unnoticed. You start saying, "I'm too tired," more than you used to. Now, everyone gets tired. That's part of being human. But when tired becomes your go-to answer for everything, from going for a walk, to cooking dinner, to chatting with the grandkids, something deeper might be going on. Fatigue is one of the earliest signs of declining independence, because it quietly convinces you to stop trying. But here's a little secret. You don't have to wait for more energy to show up before you take action. Sometimes, the action brings the energy. You might not feel like taking that short walk around the block, but if you do, 9 times out of 10, you'll come back feeling a little more awake, a little more you. It's the same with conversation. If you've been quiet for a while, maybe skipping calls, avoiding visitors, it can start to feel like socializing is just too much. But the moment you do pick up the phone or open your door, that connection, that laughter, that spark, it reminds you of who you are. It reminds you that tired doesn't have to mean done. It can just mean you need a little jumpstart. And those jumpstarts often come in the form of movement, sunlight, water, music, or even just hearing another person's voice. None of this is about pretending to be 25 again. It's about protecting the parts of yourself that still want to live, not just get by. Because even when your joints ache, or your vision isn't what it used to be, or you need a little help with the heavy lifting, that doesn't mean you're not independent. It just means you've adapted. And adapting is strength, not weakness. You have more control than you think, and sometimes it just takes a little shift in perspective to get that control back. Whether it's reclaiming your space, your routine, your energy, or just your ability to step out the door with confidence, the power to reverse these signs is real. You can do this, and you don't have to wait for a better day to begin. Now that we've talked about some of the early signs, like avoiding going out alone, feeling overwhelmed by your space, and the creeping sense of fatigue, let's continue this conversation, because there are still more signs to recognize, and more simple but powerful ways to take your independence back. You know, it's funny how something as simple as a short walk or a clean kitchen counter can bring back that sense of control. Independence doesn't always mean doing everything yourself. It means feeling capable, feeling connected, and knowing you can still make choices that matter. But there's another sign that creeps up on a lot of people, and they don't always realize it until it's already taken hold. You start avoiding decisions. Big ones, small ones, doesn't matter. Maybe someone asks what you want for dinner, and you say, "Oh, anything is fine." Or a doctor presents you with a few treatment options, and you respond with, "Whatever you think is best." Now, on the surface, that sounds polite, easygoing, cooperative, but deep down, it can be something else entirely. When you stop making decisions, even little ones, it can be a sign that you're slowly giving up the reins of your own life. It doesn't happen all at once, and it doesn't mean you're weak. It usually starts with fear. Fear of making the wrong choice, or not knowing enough, or simply feeling too tired to weigh the options. But letting others choose everything for. You can quietly train your brain to believe you can't decide anymore. And that belief chips away at your independence, piece by piece. The good news: this is one of the easiest habits to reverse. Once you're aware of it, start with the small stuff. Decide what shirt to wear, what music to play, what time you want to eat. If someone asks your opinion, give it. Honestly, even if it's different. Because every decision you make, no matter how small, is a signal to your mind: I'm still in charge of my life. And when it comes to the bigger decisions, the health choices, the financial planning, the family conversations, it's okay to ask for help. But make sure that help supports your decision making, not replaces it. Ask questions. Write things down. Take your time. You have every right to be an active participant in your own story. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you. You stop trying new things. At first glance, that might not seem like a loss of independence. After all, what's wrong with sticking to the things you know and love, right? But when curiosity starts to fade, when you start saying, I'm too old for that, or what's the point? What you're really doing is shrinking your world. Trying new things, whether it's a recipe, a puzzle, a walking route, or even just a different radio station, is how we stay mentally flexible. It's how we stay engaged. When we stop exploring, our days begin to blur together. Routines become ruts, and that can slowly drain your sense of purpose. But let me tell you something. Age doesn't disqualify you from discovery. If anything, it makes discovery even richer. You don't have to climb mountains or learn to paint like Picasso, unless you want to. It could be as simple as learning how to send voice messages to the grandkids, trying out a new spice in your soup, or reading a book from a genre you usually skip. Every time you stretch your mind just a little, you push back against the idea that life is shrinking. And that pushback, that's independence. That's you choosing growth instead of retreat. You don't have to say yes to everything. Just say yes to something now, and then, and watch how your confidence begins to build. And while we're on the topic of growth, here's a sign that can feel a bit emotional. You start avoiding asking for help, even when you need it. This one's tricky, because it often comes from pride. You've spent decades doing things yourself, helping others, being the one people rely on. So, when something gets hard, like lifting heavy groceries, or reaching the top shelf, or figuring out the new phone, it's tempting to just struggle through it quietly, or avoid it altogether, rather than ask someone else. But refusing help when it's truly needed doesn't protect your independence. It threatens it. Because when we keep pushing through tasks that are becoming unsafe or stressful, we risk injury, frustration, and burnout. And that leads to more reliance, not less. True independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about making choices that keep you safe, strong, and supported. And asking for help, when it's smart, not when it's desperate, is one of the most powerful choices you can make. Start by reframing what help means. It's not a weakness, it's a tool. Just like glasses help you see, or a walking cane helps you stay balanced. Other people can help you stay active, connected, and in control. Whether it's asking a neighbor to carry in a heavy box, or calling your son to walk you through setting up a new app, those moments of support can keep you involved in the world, not retreating from it. Remember, The people who love you want to help. And accepting help today might mean you stay stronger and more independent tomorrow. That's not giving in. It's playing the long game. So far, we've talked about how subtle changes, like avoiding outings, skipping decisions, and holding back from trying new things, can signal a loss of independence. But the powerful thing is, you're not stuck. These are signs, not sentences. They're like warning lights on a dashboard. They tell you something needs attention, but they also give you the chance to fix it before something breaks down. And fixing it doesn't require huge changes. It just means being present, listening to yourself, pushing back, gently, against the habits that try to shrink your world. Because independence isn't just about what you can do. It's about what you choose to do every day. Sometimes, the biggest shifts in life start with the smallest realizations. And the moment you begin to notice the quiet ways your independence might be slipping, you also give yourself the opportunity to take it back. Not by pretending nothing's changed, but by gently taking stock and then taking action. There's one more sign that tends to show up later than the others, and it's often the hardest to talk about. You begin to feel like a burden. Maybe not all the time. Maybe it just creeps in here and there. When your daughter offers to drive you again, or when a friend brings over dinner without being asked. You smile, you say thank you, but deep down, there's this quiet voice whispering. They're doing this because they have to, not because they want to. And that voice, it's a liar. Feeling like burden is one of the most painful signs that independence is being challenged. Not because of what you're physically unable to do, but because of what you start to believe about your worth. And that belief can be heavier than any grocery bag or set of stairs. It makes you want to shrink back, say no to help, keep quiet, even when you're hurting. But isolation isn't noble. It's dangerous. You are not a burden. You are a human being with a lifetime of experiences, lessons, and love to give. Your presence matters, even if your needs have changed. And for the people who care about you, helping you is not a chore. It's a way to show their love. Just like you once took care of others, now it's your turn to receive care. Not because you're weak, but because that's what relationships are for. If this thought has been holding you back, try this. Flip the script. The next time someone helps you, instead of apologizing or pulling away, thank them, and then ask them how they're doing. Let the moment become a two-way connection. You'll start to see that helping isn't just about giving. It's about bonding, building, growing closer. And in that closeness, your value is undeniable. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Independence is not about being untouchable or invincible. It's about feeling capable, feeling respected, having the freedom to live your days with choice, dignity, and joy. That freedom doesn't disappear when you need a hand or slow your pace. It only disappears when you stop believing in your own ability to adapt and grow. Let's take a step back for a moment and reflect. If you've noticed that going out feels harder than it used to, if your home has started to feel more like a challenge than a comfort, if your energy fades faster or your decisions get quieter, if you've stopped trying new things, turned away help, or started to wonder if you're more trouble than you're worth, these are not signs that you're broken. They are signs that you are at a crossroads. And crossroads are powerful places. They give you a choice. You can choose to keep retreating, or you can choose to lean in, gently but bravely, and say, "Not today." You can choose to move your body, even a little, even when it's hard. You can choose to make a decision. No matter how small, you can choose to connect, to try, to ask, to speak, to show up. You can choose to remind yourself, over and over, if needed, that you are still very much in charge of this life. You've spent a lifetime building who you are. That person is still here, strong, capable, worthy. And yes, your days may look different than they used to. The pace might be slower, the routine more careful. But slow is not weak. Careful is not helpless. These things are signs of wisdom, and wisdom, well, that's one of the greatest forms of independence there is. So today, take a look at your life and ask yourself, where can I stretch? Just a little? Where can I take back a bit of space? A bit of movement? A bit of joy? It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to climb a mountain. Maybe you just step outside, feel the air on your skin, and remind yourself that the world is still yours to experience. Maybe you call a friend instead of waiting for them to call you. Maybe you try a new recipe, dust off an old hobby, or sit down and write something just for you. These small acts, repeated over time, rebuild your confidence. They reconnect you to the beautiful truth. You're still here, and you still matter. If this video has spoken to you, if it's helped you feel seen, or reminded you of your own strength, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us which part of this resonated most with you. You never know who might read your words and feel less alone because of them. And if you found this helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We're building a community here, a place where wisdom is honored, where life after 60 is something to be celebrated, not feared. There's so much life left to live, and it's yours. You don't have to go it alone, but you do get to steer the ship. So here's to independence, not as a destination, but as a daily practice. Here's to strength in small steps, to connection, to confidence, and to the freedom that comes from believing in yourself again. Here's to living your best life, at any age.